What's up, everybody? Demon back, and welcome to a King Kong theory. Yes, in this video we're going to be talking about a potential thing that we could see happen in the upcoming Kong Skull Island movie. And if it does happen, it would be very, very cool. We're going to start out by looking at the companion piece with this movie, the comic that is being released pretty soon here, where we get a King Kong on the cover here. He is he's a big, hairy gorilla, he's very muscular, all that good stuff, but there are some important things to note here. Number one, he is black. Number two, he looks more like a silverback gorilla, quite like the one we saw in Peter Jackson's King Kong movie. He just looks a little bit, more fierce. He stands on two legs. He looks more like a monster than an animal, whereas Jackson's Kong was more of an animal. But then again, we can't draw too much from this information because that is kind of the your general Kong look for cartoons and animations and comics and all that stuff. So we can't be pulling too heavy from that. But moving on, we also got this pretty cool image that was also released around the same time. This is just a big Kong hanging on to the side of a mountain. One important thing to note here, this Kong is a lot less hairy. He doesn't look as muscular. He looks like he's got a little bit more fatty rolls on him. But then again, we can't draw too much from this because it's not really official. But the Kong here looks a lot more like the Kong here, which is interesting, something cool to note. But moving on into the actual movie, here's where the theory comes in. I think there's going to be two Kongs in the movie, two giant gorillas in the movie. Both of them, doesn't matter what their names are, one could be Kong, one could be something else, but at the end of the day, whoever wins the fight, because I think there will be a fight, will be the King Kong. He will be King Kong. So I feel like both of them will probably be called Kong. They'll get some sort of different name or something. I don't know, but I think at the end of the day, they're gonna fight each other. One of them's gonna win. He'll be called King Kong, and that is how he'll get his title. And we'll talk about why here in a second. So, Kong Skull Island. This all can stem from the source material, the original book, Kong Skull Island, or it's actually just called Skull Island, that has Carl Denham's son going to Skull Island and finding out about all the stuff going on there. He finds about Kong's origins, the Kong family, this monster called Ga, that was the original god of Skull Island, that the original natives worshipped. The ones who actually built the wall worshipped this creature, and then the creature was killed by Kong, and after it killed Kong's family, and that was the story. The natives all died off or whatever. Then new people came in, which were the natives we saw in the 33 movie, and so on and so forth. But the important thing to note here is that there was multiple Kongs. It was a species. The species was called Kong. He was called King Kong because he was the last of his kind. He managed to make it to the end. And he did defeat Ga, so there was that. If you guys want to go check that one out, it is actually a pretty interesting story. I would recommend it. Anyways, here is some more information that we can gather saying that, okay, they are drawn from the source material and all that stuff. Because as we see here, there's a giant gorilla carcass on this island, which does confirm one thing that I've seen lots of confusion about, and I don't know why. Lots of people have been confused about, well, is Kong just like some sort of gorilla that was blown up by a nuke and turned into King Kong? No, you guys can see here there are skeleton, there's a bones of Kong, so just like Godzilla, he's just a normal creature in this legendary universe. Also, the skull scene in the poster is actually quite a bit smaller than the skull scene in the press material for the movie, so that should show that the Kongs can be different sizes, which will play into a theory later that we talk about in a few minutes. Kongs will be different sizes, I'm assuming, depending on age. Also, I do think there will be two different types of King Kong or Kongs seen in the movie. Moving on, here is the full poster. The important thing to note here is Kong himself actually seen in the background. So let's look at the gorilla head down at the bottom and the gorilla head up at the top. They do look quite a bit different. I know that's because one is a skull, but at the end of the day, I do think there are some differences here in terms of head shape or whatever, but that could just A, be me drawing conclusions, and B, just be the fact that, it was a drawing. So here's the Kong scene here, who, in my opinion, we do see some fur, we see all this good stuff. Reminds me a lot of Jackson's Kong, which is very interesting because that is not the Kong that I think we're going to see a lot of in the movie. Now, Jackson's Kong is actually fairly different than the 33 Kong, and the 33 Kong is the one that I think this movie is going to base their Kong on more. Now, here's the original King Kong or Kong Skull Island press release material when they said there's going to be this movie called Kong Skull Island. It's going to be, well, at the time they didn't say it was going to be in the Godzilla universe, but they did say it was going to be a Warner Brothers legendary combination or whatever. Also, Kong himself was seen here roaring, and if you guys can tell, this is a silverback gorilla, looks very similar to Jackson's King Kong. Here's a better full body image of him. Here's why that's important, is because the Kong scene in the trailer is nothing like Jackson's Kong. Now, I think it's pretty obvious based off the pose that this gorilla's in right here, the one seen on screen. He is actually walking on all fours, which, as we all know, is not what Skull Island's Kong does. We see him on two legs here. Granted, he could just be standing for a short period of time, but I don't think that looks likely. His arms are just way long. I don't know. I get the sense that this Kong will be bipedal. Also, we see him standing up here. Super cool stuff. I love that shot of the trailer, but the important thing to take here is that this Kong is going to be on two legs quite a bit. That Kong that we saw earlier from the original press release was not on two legs from what we could tell, and also he doesn't look like the Kong seen here. The Kong seen here is a lot less furry. He's just his hair is more matted, whereas this one is more long flowing, more like the Jackson's Kong, which is why I think there will be two King Kongs in the movie, or two Kongs, whatever the species is called, if it's going to just be called Kong like I think it will. Also, I know I've said Kong probably 300 times in this video, but what else am I supposed to call him? I'll call him Gorilla A and Gorilla B. So Gorilla A will be, or I'll just call him A and B. So A will be this guy right here. B will be this guy right here. So, let's take a look at B's face shot from the end of the trailer right here. Yes, it is very dark, so let's enhance that. Bam. That's the best we can get. So, some things we can note. Yes, the hair is very, very matted. It is not long and flowing, and this A here, he looks more like kind of your 33 design, almost like your 76 design. Once again, he does remind me a lot of this guy here, but that could just be me. But at the end of the day, he does not look like Jackson's Kong. Let's take a look at the two together. Here's Jackson's, here's Monster B. Does not look the same at all. Moving on. So here's the original picture, the bipedal, or actually the four-legged. So here's our original picture here of Monster A, where he would be on all fours. It looks like he looks more like your standard gorilla silverback, whereas Monster B doesn't. Here's a side-by-side sort of the two, and as you can tell, they are two completely different monsters. So what I'm thinking is that we will see two Kongs fighting in this movie. I think there will be two of this species left. Maybe one's a male, one's a female. Who knows? Maybe the one on all fours, the silverback gorilla that we see in the top left, is actually a female, and the one that's on two legs, the one that we see in the trailer, is male. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I think there will be two types of Kong in the movie. I think that one of them will be a subspecies of the other. One of them will probably be bigger than the other. One of them will behave more like a gorilla than the other. The other one will be more monstrous. The one seen in the trailer will be the more monstrous one. He will be the less gorilla one. He is the one who slapped a helicopter out of the sky. He is the one who will probably be featured in the movie the most. But I still think there will be a clash between these two monsters in the movie, because you have to raise the question: is it just that they had no idea what they wanted the design of Kong to look like when they originally did that press release? Why would the info that we've gotten so far, these companion pieces, these arts, these concept arts, the poster, even the press material, all this stuff, why would it be so inconsistent? Why do they have two King Kongs? Why? That's the question. Like I said, it could just be because originally, back when they pitched this movie at Comic-Con, they had no idea what they wanted Kong to look like in their movie, so they just put out the silverback gorilla looking much like the Andy Serkis, Peter Jackson Kong, but they didn't know if that's the one they wanted to go with, and then later on they decided they wanted a more monstrous, less gorilla look, and they changed it up and made him look more like Kong from King Kong Escapes, or the 76 movie. Who knows? But I think that there's something else going on here. I think that this Kong will be in the movie, and I think that this Kong will be in the movie. I think that they will both play a part, and I think that at one point, if there are two Kongs in the movie, they will clash. And it's not that far-fetched. We've gotten Kong fighting a Robo-Kong in the Kaiju universe before. Not the Legendary universe, but the Kaiju universe. So it's not that crazy of an idea. And at the end of the day, you gotta have something to set this Kong apart from the others. I know we're gonna see him fight a giant spider, more than likely, dinosaurs, more than likely, all this stuff, but they really got to do something to make this Kong be able to face up against Godzilla. Something to let us know, okay, this guy can hold his own. What better way to do that than by showing that he can kill another one of his kind? Or rather, a subspecies, or even he's the subspecies and he can kill the more evolved version of himself because he's just the king. Who knows? I think it would be a really cool thing to explore, having one silverback type gorilla Kong versus one more monstrous Kong, and then at the end of the day, whichever one wins, probably the monstrous one, would then go face up against Godzilla, and it'd be a really cool fight, a really cool, hopefully it's a good remake. I'm going to be really mad if they don't make a good remake, because as you guys all know, King Kong vs. Godzilla is my favorite movie of all times, and I really want to see this movie done justice when it is made for the modern day. So anyways, that is my two Kongs theory. What did you guys think about it? If you guys agree that something's going on here, why else would they have so many different designs floating around? Why is the Kong scene in the trailer more monstrous than the one that we got in the Comic-Con release from a couple years ago? Something's going on here, guys, and how are they going to set this Kong apart from all the others and let us know that he can face up against Godzilla? Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. D-Man out.